This area was really rural during the period of time of the early 1800s when Senator and Mrs. Palmer came out here to start picnicking and to build their farm. So there was great woods and farmland and a dirt road from Woodward Avenue coming up to this area. And they decided they wanted to have a really nice place to live, not just to visit. So they built this log cabin in 1885. They hired some of the top architects of the time. So on the outside is a log cabin. It looks like a rustic log cabin because they had a wonderful love of history, and Mrs. Palmer had never lived in a log cabin before. And the inside is a Victorian home because they had a beautiful home in Detroit where the Detroit Institute of Arts now stands. Their home was burned down and they donated that land to what would become the Detroit Institute of Art. So they brought the pocket doors and the stairway and all this beautiful wood to put inside the log cabin. So it's really a surprise when people first walk into this cabin. They are expecting something rustic and pioneer-like, but it's a Victorian home. High ceilings and big chimneys, fireplaces, and our pride and joy, the stained glass windows. People for Palmer Park started in 2011 in reaction to the city's decision that they were going to close a number of parks because they couldn't afford to maintain them. There was a protest and a group of people got together and said, you can't close our park, it's too important. And we realized you can't just have protests, you have to have a sustainable organization to pull the community together to get volunteers and funding and work with the city to make the park work. In 2012, People for Palmer Park incorporated as a nonprofit organization, and we became the official Adopt a Park partner with the city of Detroit. It's been a game changer for the park. There was no programming, there were no events. This was covered with weeds and long grass, and boards, big boards secured the door and the window, so you couldn't really see what it was, and people forgot about it. It had been padlocked and closed for probably since the late 1970s. And it had been open as a museum. After Senator and his wife, Mary Lizzie Palmer, lived here from about 1885 to maybe 1895, they donated the cabin and land, which would become Palmer Park. They owned a huge amount of land. They had a big farm here, horses, cows, chickens, pigs, orchards. They raised food. So it was functioning as a farm, and they called it Log Cabin Farm, actually. When they gave it to the city, they wanted it to become Log Cabin Park, but the city named it after Senator Palmer and Lizzie Merrill Palmer.